Hi, I'm Dr. Diane Duckett, and welcome to another episode of Becoming You. This podcast is to help assist you in becoming a better, successful you in life and in business. I am delighted to share with you today on just that. We know that becoming a better you takes work. In fact, it takes a lot of work that we sometimes really don't want to do ourselves. Today, I want to talk about be patient with me. Yes, today I want to talk about be patient with me. Be patient with me. In becoming you, you have to learn how to be patient. Patient is a key, one of attribute that we should all have because it takes patience for us to become, who God truly has created us to be. Right. And sometimes we don't have patience. We don't like to wait. We don't like to sit. We don't like to do any of that because, um, we as humans, we're sometimes just impatient. And so we must be patient when it comes to us really developing and doing the work that God wants us to do to become who He has created us to become. And sometimes we are so in a rush to become that we forget that becoming, you all, is a process. Why is it a process? We are learning ourselves each and every day. Every day we wake up, we are learning who we are. Every day we step out of our door, we are learning who we are. Every day when we go to work, we are learning who we are. Every day when we're just out and about, we are learning who we are because of our habits and our disciplines and our minds is something that allows us to help us to understand the type of person that we are. And in doing all of that, having our habits and our disciplines and our rituals and doing all of that, we can still get lost in the process of becoming. And how does one get lost? Getting lost is like you getting, in your car without your navigator. You thought you thought you knew you were going where you were going, but found that you were lost because you had no direction. I remember, years ago before, we even had navigators, in our cars and stuff like that. We used to go to what was it called? Google Maps. And Google Maps, we would type in the address to where we wanted to go, and we would tell Google Maps to, choose the destination that we was, are already located to get to where we needed to be. And we would ask for, the Google Maps to actually print us a map so that we can have physically in our hands to be able to get to our destination safely, and without any, roadblocks in between. And so, when you get lost, it's like, you're in a car without your navigator or your MapQuest directions, and you thought you knew where you were going, but found that you were lost because you had no direction, and now you have to find your way back. And many of us have gotten lost at some point in our lives. If it may have been just going to the grocery store or traveling to, yeah, you can get lost going to the grocery store depending on what grocery store you're going to, right? But yeah, it could be the grocery store, or it could be traveling to a family member's house or a friend's house, and what happened, you got lost. You had to call or pull up a map to get directions, so that to get directions to get to your destination, on time. And sometimes we don't get to our directions on time. I'm telling you, because we think we know where we're going, but sometimes we don't know where we're going, and that's what causes us to get lost, right? And so there really is no issue in getting lost. It's how you find your way. when you get lost. It's how you find your way when you get lost. And that's how our life is when we are all becoming who we were created to be. And being lost is part of a process for finding what is important to you. When you are lost, and then when you are lost and then find what you are looking for, sometimes not even what you thought you were going to find, it could be the most rewarding form of deep discovery. And so being lost can help you in so many ways. It can help in your self discovery. It can help in your self esteem. It can help with your self confidence. Being lost can lead to a deeper learning about yourself and your goals and your interests. Being lost can give you a sense of awakening, allowing you to tap into areas of yourself you didn't know even existed. When we are all are becoming, we might think we know what we want, but in reality, it's our ego, everybody. It's our ego telling us what we want and not allowing us to fully operate in our authentic self. Our authentic self is what wants to stand out the most, because when our authentic self shows up, we are able to recognize a part of us we did not know. How many of you can say you truly know yourself? And if so, what do you know about yourself? Do you know enough about yourself to understand the different parts that helps you to become you? Being in this process of learning self is no easy task, and sometimes it hurts to know that some areas in our lives don't even complement who we really are becoming. So many areas in our lives can't complement, or doesn't complement who we are really becoming, because we tap into some areas that we should not be tapping into, that does not even complement, the purpose and the assignment and the destiny, that is on one's life. And so, why is that? Why is that? Because we get so caught up, you know, in the here and now, but we forget, about our true purpose and the reason why we are here. Because we get so stuck on what the world has to offer. We get so stuck on how the world makes us feel. We get so stuck on looking in places we have no business looking. And this is why we have a hard time expecting or accepting or in or embracing our becoming, because we allow too many outside forces to distract us to the point we lose ourselves before we can find ourselves. What are outside forces? What are these outside forces? Outside forces are forces that distract and draw you towards it. It draws you towards it where you forget your beliefs and your values. And I know some people who have a promising future, great purpose, and a big assignment, but it's on delay because these outside forces have grabbed a hold of them and they are not even trying to get out. Because, why is this? It's because the outside forces is entertaining and has them begging for more of the outside force. And when we or you and I connect ourselves to these outside forces won't let you go. These outside forces won't let you go. Wow, that right there needs some chewing on, because these outside forces will take you from you, not allowing you to become. And this is one form of being lost, because the outside forces has come in to take you off course of becoming you. If you can recognize the outside forces that are in your life, you can see how these outside forces are distracting you from truly becoming you. They will distract you to the point where, yes, you will lose yourself. You will lose yourself because of the outside force. Now, you have to name what your outside forces are, because there are many types of outside forces. And those outside forces can have some influence of how you move, how you be, how you act, how you respond. Those outside forces can have a great impact on you if you allow it. And so we must recognize the outside forces that, you know, get us all caught up and get us distracted, where we lose ourselves and can't find ourselves because of the outside forces. And when you become lost, you have to find your way back again. And finding your way back again may seem impossible right now, but there is hope. There is hope, y'all, because finding yourself on the deepest level will radically transform your life. But finding yourself isn't easy as you think, because it's just not. Finding yourself is just not easy, because there are so many layers that you have to go through to find yourself. It's like an onion. If you just picture an onion, picture you peeling an onion, and every time you peel back that onion, there is a layer that you're taking off, that doesn't belong to you. There's an area that these are areas that are chipping away, so that you can truly find yourself and become who God has created you to be. And so when you peel this onion, right? When you peel this onion, as you peel it layer by layer by layer, it's at first it's like, okay, this onion, it's okay, it's good because I'm peeling the first layer, but then when you get deeper and deeper down into those layers of onions, you'll start to feel some type of emotion, and you'll start to feel that, you are letting go of everything that, that tried to grab hold of you, and everything that you was not supposed to be a part of, and everything that was not supposed to attach itself to you is now breaking off. And now you're feeling it. You're feeling some type of emotion where you're letting it go so that you can free yourself to find yourself, to become yourself. And when you become lost, you have to find your way back, but finding yourself isn't easy as you think. But when you sense or know that you are lost, is a good thing. When you know and when you can sense that you are lost, it's a good thing, because it means you're on your way to becoming you. When you're lost, a sense of who you are is similar to the grieving process when you lose like a loved one. First, you go through this grief process, where you're grieving, and you may be in denial because your loved one, is gone. You can't believe that, your loved one's gone, and so you're in denial. And at this stage, most of us, who have lost a loved one, sometimes it could take a minute, it can take a year, it could take 5 years, it can take 10 years, it could take long. That grieving process can be long. And that's because you lost someone that you really want back in your life. And that's how our life is. When we lose ourselves, right? When we lose ourselves, and then we begin to sense and recognize that we have lost ourselves, there is a grieving process. There can be a grieving process, that takes you a minute or a while for you to get through that grieving process of even losing yourself. And guess what? We have to go through that grieving process of of understanding how we lost ourselves, because it's actually that grieving process is actually purging us. It's purging us, and it's purifying us from anything and everything that got us to the point of losing ourselves. And when we lose ourselves, we become, well, some may become angry, some may become frustrated. And when these things happen, it's like we are now recognizing that, we are just going through the motion instead of being who you want to be. And so when you have the anger, when you're in the anger stage or in the frustration stage of the reason why you have lost yourself, yeah, you're gonna go through that too, because you're angry because you allow maybe an outside force or something to get you to the point of, or get you to the place of losing yourself. And so now, we go through these motions, we go through the emotions, of trying to, understand how we got there in the first place. And that is a process as well. And so then we begin to bargain with ourselves, thinking that something will come along and save us, but it never comes. Then you start the negative talk and dwell in the fact that you lost yourself. And so you tell yourself nothing will change, and you do nothing about it to change it. And when you do nothing about it to change it, you'll continue to stay in that state for a minute. The Bible says that, we, how can you, what is it? What does it profit a man, if he gains the whole world but loses his soul? Losing ourselves is like losing our soul. Because we allowed whatever to enter in to get us off course from the beginning. And so we have to understand that now, because we allowed that to happen, and because we have lost ourselves, we now have to put ourselves in a position of doing the work to finding ourselves again. We have to find ourselves, because if we don't find ourselves, guess what? We will never become who God created us to be. I know that there are many obstacles and there are many circumstances. There are many things that are trying to, push you, in the wrong direction. But we have to be focused on trying to be truly the person that God is having us to become. Because how can God use us? How can God work through us? How can God give us, assignments after assignments after assignments, if we are lost? He can't, because we do not nearly understand ourselves if we are lost. Now, some will fake it until they make it, and I've heard that cliche a lot. Fake it till you make it. Fake it till you make it. Yeah, well, you can fake it till you make it, but guess what? As long as you keep faking it, guess what? You're still going to be in that state that you're in, because you're faking it and you're doing and you're doing and you're doing and you're doing. But guess what? Nothing's happening. There's no results. There's no fruit. You may think there's fruit, but guess what? It really isn't. Because what is happening is that you're trying to cover up you losing yourself, you being lost yourself. And so when you cover up, it's like putting a Band-Aid on a scab or on a sore. And every time you take that Band-Aid off, and it's not in the healing process, it will, that scar may break open again, or it may not be totally healed again, and then you put that Band-Aid back on. But if you keep that Band-Aid on and you let it sit, let that Band-Aid do what it needs to do, right? You're probably going to see when you take that Band-Aid off that, the scab is no longer there. And so now you probably see the white skin under where the skin that was bruised or whatever at first. So your skin is not going to match your current skin because of the scar or the bruise that you had. It's like when you get a burn, you have a burn mark, right? And so the burn mark, you'll have that burn mark, for quite some time until eventually it heals, and then, eventually it'll disappear. But it takes time for, it takes time for it to disappear. And that's like when we get lost. When we get lost, there's work that we have to do. There's work that we have to do, and we have to do some hard work. This work ain't easy. This work is not easy for anybody. And so you have to do the hard work to be able to, find yourself once again. And we got to watch, who, is around us, who is in our circles. Because if you don't watch the people that are around you, those people can push you, push you to doing, and push you to being something that you're not. And then you fall into that trap and wonder how you got there. And it's because you allowed those, what I'm going to say, outside forces to speak into your ear gate, and they wasn't supposed to speak into your ear gate. And so now you all up in the air, nervous, feel, just out and about, you can't even keep yourself still because the outside force has gotten a hold of you. And so we must recognize that, when we are in this lost state, it could be a lost state of mind. That's why you got to look at every area in your life, because all of your areas you're not lost in, right? But there are some areas you may be lost in that you need to go and begin to do the work on it so that it could be fixed. It could be healed. It could be delivered. It could be set free. It could be where God wants you to be in that moment, right? But God is teaching you some things, and He's wanting you to learn some things even from you being lost in whatever area in your life that you're lost in. And so you have to begin to, embrace that process, embrace the process of wanting to not be lost and wanting to find yourself. We got to be able to find ourselves, because if we can't find ourselves, we'll still be in the same position. We'll still be in the same state of mind, forever, until we are able to accept that we're lost and that we need to go find ourselves. I'm thinking about right now, even when I think about finding ourselves, it's like hide and go seek. You remember when you used to play hide and go seek, and you used to hide, in certain places where nobody could find you? And so nobody could find you. So therefore you was, considered lost because nobody could find you. Right. But the only way they found you, if you gave them a hint of where you were at, or if you made some type of noise. But, if they didn't find you, guess what? You stayed right there until they found you. It could be, getting dark. Everybody could be gone in the house and you still hiding behind that rock or hiding behind that tree. So now you're lost because everybody else went on about their business, because they got tired of finding you. People get, you got to be sick. You got to be tired of being lost in the place that you're lost in, whatever area it is in your life that you're lost in. You got to be tired of that, and you got to want to be able to find yourself in that place, find yourself again, so that you can be all that God has called you to be in that area of your life. You see, this losing yourself creates a lot of issues that need repair, restored, replenished. And you have to accept the fact that now you have to really start working on you so that you can become. Did you know that falling out of touch with yourself happens when you buy into others' ideas, such as those outside forces that I was talking about? You buy into ideas of what you are supposed to be or should be doing. And this can happen if these ideas are coming from friends, coming from families. It could be coming from society or even yourself. And when you follow what you think you are supposed to be doing rather than what you want to be doing, it's a path. It's a path that leads to losing yourself. I think sometimes it's good for us to lose ourselves, because that means that, you know, that means that we can truly recognize where we're at, right? And that means that we can begin to correct those areas in our lives that need to be corrected. But when you don't experience losing yourself, you will never find yourself. Many people may say, well, I've never lost myself. I know who I am. I know it. But guess what? Do you really know? Do you really know who you are? Okay, why is it that you do this? Or why is it that you do that? Or why aren't you in this place right now? Or why aren't you doing this, right? I mean, like, you have to, like, literally, ask the question, are you where you want to be today? And if you're not where you want to be today, and if you're not who you want to be today, then you have to sit down, and ask yourself that question and figure out if you're not where you need to be, and if you're not becoming who God has created you to be today. What is it that is keeping you stuck? What is it that is keeping you blocked? What is blocking the flow of God helping you and assisting you to becoming you? Because we can reject God when we're going through this process of finding ourselves, because when we are lost, we are lost. We are just totally lost. And sometimes people don't want assistance, right? Sometimes people will reject it, because sometimes people, as I said, will be in denial. They go through this grieving process of being in denial and never want to fix themselves, right? To make themselves better. But they'll blame everything on Lottie Dottie and everybody except for themselves. And so when you're blaming things, or blaming all the problems and all the issues and why you are the way you are, when you blame it on Lottie Dottie and everybody, that means you're not taking ownership of you becoming. That means that you're not taking ownership of, uh, uh, taking ownership of wanting to even find yourself again, so that you can be the person that God has truly created you to be, right? You cannot see greatness in you until you're able to, find yourself. Now, people who have lost themselves, think that they see the greatness or have the greatness, or that they're winning, but in actuality you're not. It's just all in your head. It's all in your head. And when it becomes all in your head, guess what? It now becomes all about you, right? It doesn't become about the process. It becomes all about you and what you're doing and why you're doing it. And so it's all about me. That's when we talk about the ego. The ego getting in the way of our authentic self, because our authentic self wants to show up. Our authentic self wants to show up, but sometimes our ego won't let our authentic self show up, because it's all about, as far as the ego is concerned, it's all about me, me, myself, and I. And so when you get to the place where you can let go and release the ego from yourself, right, and allow your authentic self to begin to show up, then you'll be able to be in that process of becoming you, because now you told the ego to get away. You let the ego go, so that you can do the work on yourself, so that you can become who God has truly allowed, God is allowing you to truly become you. And so, if you want to become you, you have to lose yourself to find yourself. If you want to become you, you have to lose yourself to find yourself. Picture walking into woods, right? The longer you continue walking in that direction, in the woods, the more lost you become. That is what the path of not being your truest and most authentic self is like. When you can admit that you are lost in your life, then you can begin finding yourself, so you know how to get out of the woods, right? And so this means that you have to access your confidence to get you out of your lost state. You have to access, something within you, like your confidence, to get you out of your lost state. Because when you don't have any confidence, in yourself, when you are walking or dwelling in low self-esteem, you can't really truly find your way out, because you're stuck, in you not being able to find yourself, because of the confidence that you don't really have for yourself. And so you have to begin to have some confidence for yourself, so that you can find your way out, and so that you can come out of the lost state that you may be in, so that you can become you, so that you can become fully you. Like we see people who walk in the woods all the time. They walk in the trail, or running in the woods and stuff like that. Some are just really free, when they're doing it, because they're very confident when they're going through those woods, because they know that they're not going to get lost, right? Because they're familiar with those woods, number one. And number two, they're confident that, they're going to get through the woods and that they're going to make their way back. Now, and if you're going through the woods for the very first time, and you don't know the direction that the woods is taking you, you may continue to walk and, keep walking and walking and walking until, you've gone past, a point where you don't even know where you're at, right? And it's because you're lost, and you now have to find your way back. So you have to turn around so that you can find your way back, because the woods can take you many ways, and then you can be turning left, one way, and then turning right the other way. But then when you try to find your way back, you may not know which way to turn, because you may not remember how you got there, right? And so you may not remember how to get back. And so that's what can cause also, you to become lost, is when, you get to a place where you just kept walking, you just kept going, you turned left at one moment, you turned right the next moment, then you kept straight ahead another moment, and then on your way back, you couldn't find your way back because you got lost. Something, when you turned the corner, turned left, something probably, distracted you, or you wasn't paying attention when you turned right, so that can cause you also to become lost, because you missed your direction. You didn't understand where you was going, and so as you was coming back, you didn't know which way to turn, because these forces may have been, with you, and wouldn't allow you to really find your way back. And so we have to get to the point that when we are lost, that we have to be able to find ourselves again, because there is greatness in you, there is purpose in you, there is destiny in you. God wants you to truly flourish, in all areas of your life. And so you have to let go of whatever it is that got you lost in the first place, so that you can find yourself again. And so I encourage you today to take a look at where you feel lost, and begin to work towards navigating your way back out, so that you can get or be that much closer in becoming who God has created you to be. And I want you to ask yourself these questions. I want you to ask yourself, who am I? That's the first question that everybody should ask themselves anyway. Who am I? And what do I want? And where am I going? What is something I can do today to get me closer to becoming who God has created me to be? And ask yourself too, since we are talking about being lost, ask yourself, where do I feel lost in my life? And when you recognize where you feel lost in your life, begin to work on those areas so that you can find yourself again. It's nothing like finding yourself, again. It's nothing like finding yourself when you have been lost in an area of your life that you didn't realize that you was lost in. But God, wants you to find yourself again, so that you can move closer and closer and closer to becoming who God has created you to be. I'm Dr. Diane Duckett, and thank you for listening to another episode of Becoming You.